Hello everyone, my name's Christian, and this video is about how I paid off my student loans and how you can too. The way I did it was unique, but I'm not the first person to do it, and I won't be the last. And unfortunately, not a lot of people know how I about the way I did it. And so this video is really more about helping people pay off their student loans instead of me gloating about how I paid off my student loans. But before I get into how I did it, I just want to give a little bio about who I am. I work as a registered nurse in Eagle Butte, South Dakota, which is a very remote town on the Cheyenne River Indian Reservation. And I work for a federal agency called the Indian Health Service. I'll get more into what the Indian Health Service is all about and later in this video. But before I do that, I just want to get into my education. I went to a school in the Midwest, and I'm not going to say the school's name because I don't want to make it seem like this school's super expensive, that I can't believe you went there, I can't believe it costs that much. I'm not going to do that. Part of the reason why I owed so much money is because of how unprepared I was for college. When I left for college, I was so not ready for the transition from high school to college. It was a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And my first 6 weeks there, I was just like, wow, this is much different than I anticipated it being. And because of that, and during those first 6 weeks, I really screwed up, and they cost me another year in college. So I went to school for 5 years, and I don't regret going to school for 5 years. I don't. I don't want to give the impression that I do. It's just that had I been more mentally prepared, I probably wouldn't have ended up owing so much money. But at the same time, going to school for 5 years really put me on the path to where I am today. And there's no doubt that I would be a totally different person had I not gone to school for 5 years. But with that being said, I decided when I was probably my first couple weeks of nursing school that I wanted to work on an Indian reservation. It's like what I wanted to do. I wanted to use my skills that I learned in nursing school to benefit people who really needed it. And the people that live on the reservation I ended up choosing really, really need help medically. So I'm glad I came out here, and I don't regret it. But when I when I ended up graduating, I graduated from my school in 2013, and I had very regrettably, I'll just say regrettably, that I had $76,000 that I owed in combined with private and federal loans. And when I was going to school, I was so focused on graduating and becoming a nurse and getting a job as a nurse on an Indian reservation that I wasn't even focusing on what I was doing to myself financially. It just wasn't on my mind. I was just I was just taking loan out after loan after loan. And when I finally graduated, I and really like sat down and looked at what I owed. I was just I was like, oh my god, how am I going to pay this off? How am I going to do it? I don't know. I like I was helpless. I was really helpless. I knew I had a job after I graduated, which is good. Not a lot of people after they graduated from college in 2013 had a job lined up for them, and luckily I did. I was very fortunate, and I had a well-paying job on top of that. But at the same time, I was like, wow, oh my god. And I started working when I was 24. I just turned 24, and I moved to Eagle Butte, South Dakota. And 4 days later, the government shut down. And that really affected me because I I'm a federal employee. And my hospital is run by the federal government. The Indian Health Service is a federal agency under the, I guess you'd say, umbrella of the Health and Human Service Department. And I, I got paid for 4 days of work, and then after that, I had to wait for a couple weeks until I got paid again. And I was so broke at the time, and I'm like, oh God, how how am I gonna start paying back my student loans? I have like no money. The government shut down. I don't know when I'm gonna get paid again, and I was like, damn it. But one thing, and this what this whole video is about, is how I ended up paying my student loans off. And the way I did it, like I said, was saying at the beginning of the video, was the Indian Health Service has this program that really does a good job of helping its employees out, helping new grads out, and it's called the Loan Repayment Program. And it is a shame more people don't know about it. And what my video really is, and will hopefully serve as, is it's an educational tool for people who are interested to become nurses, or who are nurses and but just are swimming under a mountain of debt like I was and don't know how to get out of it. That there's a way out. And the program, you have to apply, and when I applied during the shutdown, and so no one saw my application for a couple months because they were backlogged for a really long time. What basically it entails is that if you get approved, you work at the facility that you're at for 2 years. And when I applied, I just did my private student loans because I felt that that was more important, even though I owed 2 times as much in federal student loan debt than I did with my private loans. I just wanted to get my private loans off my back first. And so I sent it in. I showed them that I owed like $26,000, right around $26,000. And the way they do it, if you do get approved, is they split it up in 2 ways, in 2 payments, so that you get everything that you need over a 2-year period, instead of getting it all in one mass payment. They kind of do that to keep you there at your facility. And that's their reasoning. And so I got $13,000 in right around September of 2014. And when you get approved, you have to sign this contract, and after you get approved, you have to wait 120 days from the start date, the date that your contract starts. And my contract started on May 9th of 2014, and I waited 120 days roughly to get my first round of money. And when I first got that, I was like, oh my God, I can't believe this. I like just like that, I ended up cutting my private loans in half. It was beautiful. And the next part of what you have to do is prove to the loan repayment program that you actually used your funds to pay off your student loans, and prove that you were working and you are an employee at the hospital that you say you are, and then you'll get your next round of money. And so I sent into all of that stuff in, and September of 2015, I get my second round of $13,000, and and I was done. I was done with my private student loans for the most part, but I still had 50,000 left in, or actually probably around $45,000 in federal loans. And it came to the point where, do I want to leave Eagle Butte or do I want to stay? Because the what's so great about this program is you can keep extending your contract, extending as long um, as you have student loans and as long as you want to keep working there. And so I decided, you know what, I'm just going to stay here another year. It's really not that bad out here. I uh, enjoy it. The job's great, and they give me like they really help me out with my student loans. And so I decided to send in the money that I owed for my federal loans. And when you do an individual yearly contract, and you send in the amount that you owe there, they actually award you more than they would with your 2-year contract. And so my third year that I did the loan repayment program, I got an award of $24,000, and after taxes was about just a little over $18,000, and it was amazing. It was so great to cut half of what I owed out. It was unreal. It was just like I couldn't believe it, and I had a really hard time deciding if I wanted to stay another year and live in this rural community, which is really hard. The winters out here are really hard. It's dangerous living out here in the winter because of the roads, or sometimes you're taking your life in your own hands if you drive out here in the wintertime. And it's like, there's not a whole lot to do here. I just didn't know if I wanted to do it, and it was a really hard choice. But I ended up deciding, you know what? I made a promise to myself after I graduated that I don't know how I'd do it, but I'll do it. Before I'm 30, I'm going to pay off all my student loans. And I just turned 28 last month. Actually, this month, I just turned 28. And I got my last round of money, and I ended up paying off over $70,000 student loans. In all, I got roughly $62,000 from the Indian Health Service to help me pay off my student loans. And, when I would tell people how much money I would owe, I would say, I owe more than enough, because I was so embarrassed with what I owed. When I graduated in 2013, the average student owed about roughly $37,000, and I was over twice that. And it was really hard it was really hard to tell people that, because I put myself in this situation, and I really there's no one to blame but myself. But I remember very vividly, after I started working here, I went for a run, and during that run, I was like, you know what? I have to accept that this is the money that I incurred while I was in school, and I have to figure out a way to pay it off. I have to. This is my responsibility. And it was hard. It was really hard. I wanted nothing to do with this student loan debt, but it was mine. And, I figured out a way. It wasn't easy. And there were hard times before I got to today. But I got here. And I'm really here to help people out with the loans that you might have taken out and don't know really how to pay it back, and you're feeling helpless. Because I was in that same position 4 years ago, or less than 4 years ago. I didn't know. I did just I don't know how I'm going to do this. And I want people to know that there is a way out. I had a Mount Everest, in my opinion, of student loans, and I worked really hard, and I ended up paying it off. And so I want people to reach out to me, and feel free to contact me about more information about the student loan program, or student loan program here at the Indian Health Service. And you don't have to come to Eagle Butte, South Dakota. There are hospitals across the western half of this country, and which are much closer to metropolitan areas, if that's what you're into, than Eagle Butte. There's multiple hospitals in New Mexico, Arizona that are that desperately need nurses, and are more than willing to hire you and will help you in the process of gaining this loan repayment program. It really is one of the best kept secrets the federal government has that I wish they let more people know about, because it really, really helped me with becoming debt free. I am so grateful that I found the Indian Health Service, and I just want, and I want to end this video with kind of message of hope. I know student loans can be really hard on your psyche, on your physical health also, and there are way out. There are ways out. There are programs that will help you pay off your student loans, and I just, you know, I'm a living example of someone who had a lot of student loans, a lot, and I figured a way out to pay him off within, less within before I turned 30. I mean, I can't believe I did it. I made that promise, and I didn't know if I was going to uphold it, but I did. And I'll give a link in the bio to the Indian Health Service, to their loan repayment program. And, I really encourage anyone who's watched this video that's interested to please contact me. Please. This is my first YouTube video. I don't really know how to do nitty gritty, so to speak, of how to contact one YouTube user to another, but I'll figure it out. And please, I want you to know that there are ways. There are ways to pay off student loans, and so yeah, I mean, today I sit here before you knowing that I did it, and so can you.